Hello, how are you? Hope you're doing well. So this is Biology HL paper 1 and time zone 2, November 2023 paper. So let's start the paper. So the first question is the Stargardt is an inherited disease caused by the mutation of gene associated with vitamin A processing in the eye. So it results in degeneration of receptor cells and loss of vision. For what reason are stem cells to treat disease? First of all, you should know stem cells are unspecialized cell, and they have ability to divide into different kinds of cell. So they are an unspecialized, right? So they can be taken from eye of an embryo and transplanted to patient. No, we cannot extract from the eye because there are certain region in the body which actually produce the stem cells. So they can produce vitamin A in newborn babies. No, actually, you know what, like stem cells, they turns into different things. For example, embryonic stem cells, you can make different kind of things. There are some stem cells which can turns into red blood cells basically. So yeah, they can develop into receptor cells and prevent blindness. That's the thing. That's the word which is linked with the stem cell developing. So they develop into receptor cells and prevent blindness. So C is the answer. They can be removed from embryo to detect early. No, that's not the function of the stem cell. Stem cell always develop the different kind of cells. For example, if there are like, we have to treat the cancer, so we have to inject the stem cells. It's very effective against cancer cells, so it developed to the cells to prevent that kind of things. So that's how we can say that stem cell, it always like developing into a new cell, right? So what is the function of cholesterol? Sometimes some students say like cholesterol work as the like channel. No, cholesterol is not the thing which act as a channel. For channel, there are like glycoproteins or glycolipids. These are the things which help for the receptor, and they activate various kind of things. But the prime function of cholesterol is to maintain the fluidity. Always remember, maintain the fluidity, right? To store energy, it is like for energy storage, like ATP is the molecule which has large amount of energy. So we cannot say that it store energy and provide channel. No, for channel, for transportation, they are like protein channels, like the peripheral proteins, specifically peripheral proteins, they help uh, for the channel, right? Okay. And to hold adjacent cells together, no. Like the function of the cholesterol is to maintain the fluidity. And by the way, fluidity is maintained by the unsaturated fatty acid. Unsaturated fatty acid, they basically maintain the fluidity. Okay. In an experiment, student placed 5 fresh potato cylinders of equal size in solution of the varying sucrose concentration. So we have fresh potato cylinder and we have like sucrose solution concentration. There is 0 sucrose, 0.25, 0.5, 0.751. So on completion of experiment, The student concluded that the concentration of sucrose isotonic with the potato was 0.3. Okay. In how many solution did the potato cylinder lose mass? So potato cylinder, it lose the mass when, like, you know what, if we have sucrose concentration higher, then we can say that salt, if we increase the salt concentration, what happens, like the from the potato, the solute move outside, and we can say that, like, that's the function. Whenever there is a higher concentration in the cell, what happens, the outside solute concentration, they move towards the inside environment, because we have to maintain the homeostasis, like the maintenance. So in order to maintain the, we can say that, like, the mass, or in order to maintain the concentration, the solute particles, they distribute in such a way, they maintain the isotonic environment, they maintain the isotonic environment. So that's why, that's the thing you need to know. And examiner, they already say that, like, for the isotonic with the potato was 0.30. So here 0.30, 0.30. So 0.50 is the higher concentration of salt. So salt, like, it should move inside to maintain the water balance, or we can say that, like the fresh potato water, it move outside to maintain the concentration. And in the same way, 0.7 and 1. So these three cylinders are those in which, like, we can say that there is the maintenance of the concentration. So potato cylinder, it should lose the mass, because solute, whenever there is a higher solute concentration, the salt the solute, it like, the more water is added to the boiling tube, and hence the loss in mass occurs. So that's why the answer should be C. Water striders of Garidae family of insects have areas of their legs covered with hydrophobic substance. Hydrophobic, which is water insoluble. Which is water insoluble. So, what property of water makes it possible for them to walk on its surface? So, that is, like, one thing which is very important, like the insect, it can, like, walk over the surface. The only thing is, water molecules, they combine with each other with a very strong force, which is called a cohesive force, right? So cohesion of the water molecule is the property which keep intact the water molecule together, so that, like, the insect can walk over the surface. So cohesion means the force of attraction between same molecules. So B is the answer. What is the function of primer in polymerase? PCR, polymerase chain reaction in which, like, the, we can say that, elongation of the chain occurs. So primer, to separate the two strand of DNA? No. Two strand of DNA is like, it is break down by, not by this but there is the enzyme which actually breaks down the DNA molecule. There is the enzyme. So the attachment, for the attachment and for the breakdown, helicase is the enzyme which basically break down and to bind with the complementary strand of DNA, that is ligase. Ligase is the enzyme which actually bind the DNA strand to determine the region of the DNA that is copied. That is the answer. That's the prime function of the primer. To the diagram shows the arrangement of operators used to carry out an experiment with germinating seeds. The level of the colored water in the glass tube shows the result at the end of the experiment. So initially the level of the colored water in the glass tube were equal initially. Okay. What does the experiment show? That is potassium hydroxide solution. Okay, sterilize dead seeds, germinating seeds. Germinating seed must produce like it's required like the oxygen is produced and because oxygen is absorbed, oxygen is used up for the germinating seeds because they need oxygen. That is the condition. So potassium hydroxide has absorbed the oxygen. No, potassium hydroxide is not the thing which can react with oxygen. So anaerobic respiration takes place. Anaerobic respiration is the absence of oxygen, but germinating seed, they required oxygen. So oxygen has been absorbed by the seeds in aerobic respiration. That's absolutely the right answer. That's what like you need to know. Heat is produced. No, there is no link of heat. So how does the study of rock deposition provide evidence of when organism first started to photosynthesize? Evidence, yes. So fossils of leaf were found from the first plant to photosynthesis. That is very like difficult to found the fossils of the leaves for the first plant. That's very difficult. Analyze of the rock for magnesium. Magnesium is the part of the chlorophyll. Analysis of the rock for magnesium indicate when chlorophyll could be synthesized. But there is a balanced chance like magnesium may be present in the form of minerals. So that's why they are wrong. Carbon content of the rock indicates the amount of carbon dioxide in atmosphere. And rock of different colors were deposited when oxygen was released by photosynthesis. Yeah, so rock of different colors were deposited when oxygen was released by photosynthesis. There are different colors of rock that indicate there must be the evidence like for the photosynthesis. Different color rock. The table show approximate genome size of four species: E. coli, Drosophila melanogaster, that's a fruit fly, Homo sapiens, a human, Paris japonica, the plants. Okay. So, what can deduce from this information? So, these are the biological names, and this is bacteria, this is insect, mammal, and plants. The genome size. So, what can be deduced from this information? So, plants have more chromosomes than human? No, that's not the thing. Genetic code is universal? No. For the one species genome may have similarities, but that's not the universal. The amount of functional DNA varies between organisms. Um, the functional DNA, like, they always remain the same between organisms. They can't vary. The functional DNA, right? So, and the genome size does not always indicate the complexity of organism. Yes, yes. So, like, there are so many different, like, genome size, but they are very complex. But the, for example, the mammal, they are more complex as compared to, like, the Homo sapiens, but the size of genome is not always indicate the complexity of organism. So Homo sapiens are more complex than plants. So that's why this one, like the Paris japonica. So that's why D is the answer. What occurs during the first division of meiosis? In first DNA, meiosis is the thing in which, like, chromosomes become half. Replication of DNA, no. First of all, half the chromosomes. So C is the answer. That's very easy. Okay. Okay, the diagram shows the DNA profile of two couples and two children. So couple X, couple Y. Hmm. Okay. So what is the most probable relationship between them? Okay. So couple X, look at this. Most likely couple X genes are very, very similar with child one. Look at this. There's so many similarities. So that's why couple X are the parents of child one. That's a true statement. And couple Y, they have child two. Look at this. The similarities. There's so much similarity. Oh wow. So much similarity. Yes, so A is the answer. Which factor would be expected to vary in closed terrestrial mesocosm? So always remember temperature and biomass. These are the things which could be expected to vary. So that's why C is the answer. The pyramid of energy shows the annual gross productivity for each trophic level in Silver Springs ecosystem in Florida. Okay, so that is the pyramid of energy. Yeah. So what does the pyramid show? Look at this. The energy loss occurs. So energy lost occur, and where the energy, how the energy lost occur, because that's the gross productivity for each trophic level in Silver Spring is ecosystem, when there are many plants. So the biggest loss of energy when sunlight is reflected from plants. There are large number of herbivores than carnivores. The energy in trophic level is affected by seasonal change. But most energy lost by autotrophs. Most energy lost by autotrophs. So they lost so much energy there. That's why is the answer. The graph shows how worldwide use of fossil fuels has increased from 1800 to 2019. Worldwide use of fossil fuel. So after like 1950, the use is very like it has very steeper graph. So how has the increased combustion of fossil fuel contribute significantly to global warming? Oh, the question is about global warming. So heat released raise the temperature of the air in combustion. But yeah, this is the parameter. But the main thing, like combustion cause ozone depletion, no. Com- Carbon dioxide produced by combustion prevent radiation from sun to reach earth. Not prevent, but the coming radiations they won't escape. So product of combustion absorb long wave radiation. That's the thing. Like this is the sunlight, this is the earth, this is the layer of the carbon dioxide. So the ultraviolet radiation they can't escape by the layer of the carbon dioxide. That's the answer. So D is the answer. Dogs are descendant from the grey wolf Canis lupus by selecting breeding and are thought to be first domesticated about 30,000 years ago. What is the result of selective breeding? Many different species of dog exist. Selective breeding always produce the variety of phenotypes. There must be a variety of phenotypes. So always remember. That's the consequences of selective breeding. It always produces the variety of phenotypes. How does the awareness of antibiotics makes them less effective? It makes patient develop antibiotic resistance. It can it can cause mutation in bacteria. It causes antibiotics to change due to natural selection. Natural selection is not the thing like which change the antibiotic. It increases the number of bacteria better adapted for survival. You know what, like less effective mean now bacteria they have some adaptation. If you're not um overuse if we overuse the antibiotic, so it the bacteria they better adapted for survival. So that's why D is the answer. The steri thyme moss and the badge moss are both bryophytes in order bryales. What must have common in them? Like they have common in. So they are classified into same. You know, because they are this is the class they are both bryophytes, so they have same class. Genus is the this is the genus name, but they have different genus name. That's why they have vascular tissues to transport. No, they reproduce by producing seeds. No, because they are mosses. The image shows the model of human heart with one chamber labeled R. Which statement is most accurate? When the pressure is in R increase, the semi-lunar valve close. The most accurate. R contains the sinoatrial nodes which initiate heartbeat. Okay. So Blood pressure from R into pulmonary passes from R into pulmonary artery. That's more accurate. That's the pulmonary artery to the lungs. And this blood is deoxygenated blood. So that's the more accurate, most accurate. The spirometer reading shows change of volume of the lungs during normal breathing. Okay. What are the tidal volume and the ventilation rate? Tidal volume is zero point 0.5 and the ventilation rate. You know the rate is change with respect to time. So you have to calculate change with respect to time. So let me calculate it. So per minute, we have to calculate per minute. So it should be 0.066. Yeah, it should be 15. We have to turns into we have to turn into minutes. So that's why we got 15. That's the answer. Okay. So four electrical stimuli of increasing size are applied to a neuron at times t1 to t4. The graph shows the effect of each electrical stimulus on the membrane potential of the neuron at the point where the stimulus is applied. So, what can be concluded from the graph? So, membrane potential and time. And you know what? The threshold potential is for example, 60, 60, 50, 40. That is the negative 40, the threshold. At from this point, we can say that it jumps. So threshold potential is approximately negative 40. That's what like you need to know. Because after T4, that's the membrane potential. Hormone leptin has been tested on patient with clinical obesity to try to treat the disease. From where the leptin is secreted, where does it act, and what is the function. So you know what, obesity, adipose tissue is the thing where the fats deposited. So it always secreted from the adipose tissues. Hypothalamus are not the thing. So A or D is the answer. So where it act, so it act on hypothalamus, and the function inhibit appetite. That's how it function. So A is the answer. What enzyme remove the RNA primer and replace them with DNA during DNA replication? That is DNA polymerase 1. It removed the RNA and replaced with DNA during DNA replication. That's the thing. You have to memorize them. Okay. Sanger sequencing use nucleotides containing deoxyribose instead of deoxy D dideoxyribose instead of deoxyribose. How do these nucleotides block DNA replication? You know, deoxy, instead of deoxy form when there is a sugar phosphate bonds. So basically they prevent the formation of sugar phosphate bonds. So it formed dideoxy instead of deoxy. So C is the answer. What happens to mRNA after transcription in eukaryotic cells? You know the function of mRNA? Yeah, that's a messenger RNA. It's copy the sequence, and then like the particular sequence of RNA, it exit from the nucleus, and then like the transfer RNA make sure the transfer of the particular amino acids against those like codes, so triplet codes. So that's how the protein synthesis occurs. So that's why like the happens to mRNA after transcription in eukaryote, removal of introns. That's the answer, because they are very specific. Coding region should be only leftover, so that's why it remove the introns. What is the feature of enzyme inhibition? So in the pathway that convert threonine to isoleucine, and product inhibition occurs when isoleucine binds with threonine. So enzyme inhibition, when it stop the like enzyme for functioning, so increasing the amount of substrate will increase the amount of product. When the reaction is inhibited by non-competitive, no, it should be competitive there. So that's wrong. Competitive inhibitors prevent catalysis by binding to allosteric. No, they actually bind to a substrate site. Non-competitive inhibitors are different shape of substrate. Yeah, this is the answer, because they bind to a place other than active site. Non-competitive inhibitors always bind to a site other than active site. Okay, aerobic cell respiration using glucose can be summarized with an equation. So at what stage is carbon dioxide is produced? So carbon dioxide is produced in the link reaction. Always remember, it produced in the link reaction. It do not produce in electron transport chain, etc. It is not going to form in glycolysis, because glycolysis, the two molecules of the pyruvic acid, pyruvates are formed, which joins the link reaction. So that's why for the 25, the answer is A. Scientists discovered from the electron tomogram of a mitochondria that inner membrane of the mitochondrion invaginates to form cristae through narrow tubes. How does the image produced by the tomography differ from the image produced by conventional electron microscope? You know, three-dimensional image is formed in tomograph. The diagram shows the operators used by Calvin in experiment to determine the biochemical detail of photosynthesis. Okay. Okay. In what compound was radioactive carbon found? You know, of course, when the it, photosynthesis occurs, of course, it becomes a part of the glucose as well. It becomes the part of the glycerate 3 phosphate as well. It becomes the part of ribulose bisphosphate, RUBP. So yeah, so they all are correct because they are linked with each other. The diagram shows a photometer. Under what weather condition would the air bubble move fastest towards the chute? Of course, warm, but humidity always already there is like more vapors, so transpiration slower down. In dry condition, transpiration increase, so that's why B is the answer. Warm, which increase the temperature, because at high temperature the rate of transpiration is higher, so that's why B is the answer. What happens in the transport of organic compound in plants? High hydrostatic pressure is created. Transport of organic, yeah. High hydrostatic pressure is created at the source. Yes, exactly. Source is the place where actually photosynthesis occurs, food is produced. So transport of organic compounds is always create the high pressure, high hydrostatic pressure. So A is the answer. What is the advantage of micro propagation? Micro propagation, like in very small level, all the like the virus free plants we can make, genetically modified plants. No, for the purpose of the micro propagation is to produce the virus free plants. That's its function. Okay, the graph shows the percentage of plants that flower according to the period of light for two different plant species. Okay, one of which is short day plant. Which plant would be described as short day plant? Look at this. That is Kalanjo and that is Lolium. Okay, flowering induction. Yeah, look at this. This should be the answer. Kalanjoy. Why? Because the flowering is stimulates by the long nights. Look at this. Yeah. So it's stimulating long light. Start from here. That's why this is the answer. A is the answer. How do cells at the end of meiosis 1 differ from the cells at the end of meiosis 2? DNA at the end of meiosis 1 differ from the DNA? No, DNA remain the same. Yeah, so D is the answer. Why? There are more chromatids per cells at the end of meiosis 1 that end of meiosis 2. Yeah, more chromatids should be there. This is the answer. Mendel crossed pea plants with round yellow seeds with pea plants with wrinkled green seeds and found that all pea plants are F1. F1 generation are round. That mean it is homozygous dominant. So, oh, F1 generation round yellow seeds. In the F2 generation, 556 pea plants were produced. Assuming independent assortment, what is the most probable number of the round green seeds plant produced? Round yellow seeds. It should be like the 25%. So it should be 101. That's what like you need to know because the ratio is in that way. Okay. Some species could potentially hybridize but never do in the wild. What could be the example of temporal isolation? Different song patterns by grasshoppers, okay. Plants, saliva, okay. Salvia, Yana, and okay, pollinated by different species. Hmm. Hybridized but never do in the wild. What could be an example of temporal isolation? Yes, isolation. So it should be become sexually mature every 13 years. Yeah. So C is the answer. Because that's the temporal isolation. Allergic conjunctivitis can be stimulated by exposure of pollen and leads to watery, itchy, and red eye. What is the cause of this condition? You know, allergens in pollen stimulates the release of histamines. Whenever there is the allergy condition, so always remember that is histamine. Histamine is in the immunity chapter we learn this histamine function. So it always produce the inflammation. That's the chemical secreted by particular cells. Okay, blood group depend on the presence of presence and absence of antigen on the surface of the red blood cell. So antibodies in the blood plasma react against foreign antigens, causing agglutination. The table shows the antigens and antibodies present in each blood group. What reductions can be made? Okay, blood group A, antigen A, anti-B. Okay. So a person of blood group O can receive blood of any type. A person of blood group B can receive blood group O. A child whose parents are blood group ABO will have two types of antibodies. A child whose parents are both blood group. Okay. Yeah, AO is universal donor. It's not receiver, it donate. It's a universal donor, so B is the answer. What occurs during skeletal muscle contraction? Calcium ions bind to troponin, they change the shape. That's how the muscle contractions occur. Okay, the diagram shows the blood flowing through a hemodialyzer to treat kidney failure. The arrow shows the direction of the blood flow. Which statement describe what happens in blood during hemodialysis? Which statement describe what happens in blood during hemodialysis? Urea, more urea will be found in blood at Y. No, dialyze remove all the urea. So that's the wrong. All salts, no, that's wrong. Useful substances are selectively reabsorbed. Glucose reabsorption occurs. So glucose reabsorption occur. That's the answer. What stage of spermatogenesis produce haploid cells from diploid? Primary spermatocytes to secondary, yeah, that's the answer because yeah, always remember primary always turns into secondary. The diagram shows the location of zona pellucida, a layer of glycoprotein in the human ovum. What is the main function of zona pellucida? Polar bodies to provide amino acids to no, to prevent polyspermy. That's the answer. I hope you understand this paper. Thank you so much.
Thank you for staying with me to the end. Don't hesitate to leave your question or request in the comment section. I'll see you guys next time.